Hello and welcome to another Let's Interview. Today I have Jacob, aka Dragonzord, and a Godzilla fan.
The biggest one you will ever meet ever.
Here's a Now, alright, here's my question. Is it true that you actually have Godzilla chained up in your backyard?
No, you can't chain him up. It's impossible.
Oh.
Many have tried, all have failed.
Oh, well, that joke went up. I guess that joke failed.
But
Hmm.
I do have an Admonosaurus in the backyard.
Oh, that's
It's
even better.
exactly. Exactly. You don't have to mow the grass.
Oh, yeah. Alright, well, anyway, let's get serious. So, Jacob, you are one of my more favorite ranters around here. What actually got you started to making videos?
I'm sorry, my internet cut out for a
Yeah.
second.
Alright, well, Jacob, you are actually one of my more favorite ranters. So, what exactly got you started making videos on YouTube?
It was a Pokemon Fire Red Omega Let's Play.
Ah, you were starting off as a Let's Player rather than a ranter.
All I had was I didn't have like any means to actually record myself or edit or anything, so I just recorded Let's Plays, and played Fire Red Omega, and kind
Yeah. Terrible, terrible connection. Terrible, terrible connection.
it is a terrible connection.
So you got into the Fire Red Omega.
Yep.
You ever beat that? I I think I might have actually played that ROM hack.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry.
Yeah, this might be a problem.
I had Firefox open, so maybe that'll help. I closed it.
Alright. So you started doing the Fire Red Omega Let's Play. I think I might have actually played that one for a Nuzlocke challenge. Oh wait, no, it was Pokemon Omega. It was Emerald Omega.
Yeah. Like there was an Emerald Omega.
Yeah, I played the Emerald one. I especially liked the fact that I was doing a Nuzlocke challenge, and the Elite Four were actual Nuzlocke players with their endgame team.
Oh well, that's just fantastic.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, what actually made you go from Let's Playing to actual ranting?
Well, it was just sort of a thing. I wanted to get like something off my chest, so I found like an editor I could use for free, and I just started raving and ranting.
What was your first rant?
On my first rant, oh god, it was way back when it was, the IP Act and SOPA and stuff.
Oh yeah,
It was that. It was that.
a lot of people got up in arms with that.
Yeah, it was that. It was the first time I ever really showed my face on camera.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also clear that you're a fan of anime as per your review of some anime, as well as using anime clips to help to basically be as your avatar.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I,
what kind
it's
of anime you like watching?
If I like it, basically. It doesn't really matter to me. There's no genre I wouldn't watch. So long as I like it, it's fine.
I can agree to that one. When it comes to anime, I don't stick to just one genre. I'll even go to a romance genre if it's actually entertaining enough. Which the only one I came close to is Mahu Sensei Negima.
Oh,
And that goes into complete shonen territory for after manga volume 4.
the only Negama series I've watched is the one where it's like off the wall, batshit crazy. Like there's the boingy boingy in the Muppets reference, and it's
So many good animes. Wait, speaking of, okay, so what's like your favorite anime that you have seen?
Outlaw Star.
Ah, there's a classic. I say that despite the fact I have never seen it. Ah, look at me and my pretentiousness.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I'm just I basically said, what a classic, despite the fact that I
Yep.
have never seen it. Look at me and my pretentiousness.
Yep. It's awesome.
Yeah, but what's like the worst anime you've seen? Hello? Hello? Godzilla? Have you seen Jacob? Hello?
Yes, I'm back.
Ugh. This is going to be a bit annoying to our viewers, isn't it?
Yes.
Especially since I have no editing skills whatsoever, because I are retarded.
There's an advertisement. How do I exit out this advertisement?
I have no idea.
Whatever.
So what's the worst anime you've seen?
People are gonna hate me when I say this, but Naruto Shippuden.
A lot of people actually would agree with you on this one. In my opinion,
Seriously?
the plot it gets way, way too crazy even for the setting. Okay, I'm okay with the whole Sasuke becoming evil thing. I'm okay with that, you know. I'm
Yeah.
okay, you know, with the Akatsuki and Pain's crazy plan and the fact that it's Toby pulling all the strings. I'm okay with that. But
Actually, I don't like
Naruto
Toby.
actually talking to Kyuubi, saying that we become friends, the Kyuubi be like, okay, I'll be friends, and the big war, the whole big plan to to use the moon, the fact that Toby isn't who he says he is, I'm not spoiling that, because I'm
He's
not...
Obito. He's Obito, isn't he?
Damn it, you just spoiled it. But
That
yeah,
pisses me off. That pisses me
that
off.
was
It's
a
like,
fan joke in theory. Hell, I've seen pictures of like Toby like Kakashi. It's been way too long.
that pisses me off because it's like, didn't Obito selflessly sacrifice his life to save Kakashi?
Exactly. Although when I saw Kabuto, you know, you saw that you didn't know what he pulled out. I thought it was Madara's brother, and Madara was just pissed off the fact that you know Kabuto would desecrate the corpse of his own brother. You know, that would be like,
Yeah.
that would actually have made sense. Maybe Kabuto and Madara fight, and you know, Kabuto uses, you know, Madara's brother as his shield. I mean, that would have actually been a great character development.
True,
He's
but
not, you know, pure insane evil. But that's beside the point. Yeah, Shippuden got way too crazy. Oh yeah, and the
I
filler. Naruto has way too much filler.
the filler isn't what bothered me really. I stopped watching after the fight with Pain because it's like no matter what they did, they could never really had they didn't have any focus where they were going with Naruto's character or anything. I mean, they wanted to build him up as Jesus, but they never did anything prior to that to get us invested in that
I
shit.
can agree to that. Although I will
This
admit
is
the fight scenes are pretty badass. I mean,
they
I pretty
were
much just read the manga just to see the fight scenes.
I don't read manga. I
Hey,
don't.
anime, manga, it's all the same.
For
Sorta.
for well, but the reason why I hate Shippuden so much is that it's pretentious.
It
But
does
not like
start to get pretentious, I can agree.
the whole forgiveness. What, you need just give Nagato a big fucking hug and everything will be okay?
Yeah, I can agree with that. Maybe
I mean,
have Naruto saying that I'll forgive you, but you still need to pay for your crimes. Maybe that would work.
me personally, it shouldn't have been forgiveness versus revenge, but it should have been forgiveness and revenge can't coexist without each other. There will always
Okay,
be there.
that would actually make sense and make Naruto the agent of forgiveness and Sasuke of revenge and just basically go with that thing. But don't make it way too
Exactly.
pretentious. Oh
Exactly.
yeah, and the oh yeah, and the whole fight between Sasuke and Itachi, while badass,
The end.
yeah, I could also see a bit of
The,
pretentiousness in
the,
that and whole.
the no. The ending is what pissed me off.
Yes, the ending with Itachi being like, "Oh, I'm really good."
Oh God. Oh God. That was awful.
Yeah, which then raises a question as to, okay, I'm willing to believe maybe Itachi, did all that, and still be good. I'm willing to believe that. But then why does he join the Akatsuki? Why doesn't he just become like a wandering ninja, basically, going on like a self journey to basically find forgiveness within himself? Why doesn't
I
he just do that?
I don't know. I don't know because I honestly think they did that at the very last minute.
Exactly.
They did it at the very last minute. They saw a lot of people liked Itachi, and they thought turning him into a good guy would somehow not.
Yeah, it just got way too.
I
It's
mean,
becoming
people.
a bit of a mess like Neon Evangelion.
Oh Jesus, Evangelion.
Okay,
The only.
now to everyone who likes that show, I think that me and Jacob can both agree that the animation is great and the
Yeah,
first few episodes were decent.
yeah, they were good, and then it's like symbology because there's no meaning. They're like, we're gonna.
Exactly. We don't. We both don't mind the symbolism in all sorts of things. Like I could see the symbolism in the fight between Itachi using his attack to kill Orochimaru as reference to who taking out Amada no Orochi using the Toda blade. I got that reference.
I didn't, but
Really?
okay.
It's actually a reference to Hinakagatushi killing Yamada no Orochi, which comes from Japanese mythology.
Oh, so okay. So that's where that whole Deus Ex Machina shit came from. Okay,
Yes,
that makes a lot more sense.
I actually got that reference.
Yeah,
See, you
but
learn something new every day.
but then it's just like devolved, and you're like,
Yes.
does Asuka like Shinji? Does she not like Shinji?
Asuka is just so
Fuck Asuka.
abrasive and annoying.
Fuck. I understand we're not supposed to like him at Shinji like at first. We're not
Yeah.
supposed to
I
like him.
don't
He's
know who
like
I hate more, Asuka or Shinji more.
honestly, I hate Shinji more than Asuka just because I understand if you don't change Asuka that much, she's a side character, but you're trying to build Shinji up as this nobody that becomes a somebody, and he's not likable at first, but at one point in time, he has to have that moment where he realizes, I gotta grow up, I gotta stop bitching about my daddy issues, and I gotta save the fucking world.
Yes. If they just did that, maybe everything would be okay, but no. It's just
I mean,
whine, whine, whine. I guess you're right. Asuka may be abrasive, maybe a bitch, maybe annoying, but at least she's not self-loathing.
self-loathing characters, fine, you hate yourself, but you gotta realize that, like, Gurren Lagann, take Gurren Lagann, Simon. He hit rock bottom, and then just rose to the top. And that's why I love Gurren Lagann. That's why I love Gurren Lagann.
Right.
Yeah, oh, gee. Someone you don't think would amount to jack shit actually becoming a hero. Well, in a competent way.
That could work. That works nicely.
No, that works nicely.
So, what are some other animes you like? Do you like the stuff from the classic era, like from the 90s, early
Uh,
2000s, or from today's modern era?
I like a lot of stuff from, I like some 90s stuff like Yu Yu Hakusho and Dragon Ball Z, even though DBZ is overrated.
Yeah, I prefer the original Dragon Ball, but I can at least respect DBC. GT, on the other hand, I have sort of mixed feelings. I feel they tried to put too much comedy into it.
I I just didn't understand I just didn't understand any. I liked how like they had the original villains from the original Dragon Ball series in GT. I kind of liked that.
It was
Kind of
kind
a
of
cool,
cool to get, a blast from the past, be like, oh yeah, I remember them.
yeah, but just no. Everything else was just like no.
Yeah, Emperor Pilaf. That was, I'm like, oh my god, they brought it back.
When I first saw that, I marked out. I'm like, it's Emperor Pilaf. I remember him.
I personally think Dragon Ball is just a tad bit better than DBZ because it had the action, it had the adventure, but it didn't take itself way too seriously. Sure, there were plenty of high stakes, but it wasn't to the point of, okay, we get it, it's always the fate of the world.
Yeah, I know, but like I liked, but the Cell Saga. I think if it ended there, it would, cool. That's nice.
That actually makes sense, taking on an enemy that actually killed Goku in an alternate future. Okay,
Exactly,
they actually overcame time and space, the future, and everything. Cool.
exactly. Great moment for Gohan as well. Yep, just that done. We're done.
Exactly.
Kind of like how, like if you watch one of my Fire Red, like I think it was like 2 or 3 episodes of Fire Red Omega, I constantly talked about the Bleach episode 342 and how it like should have ended there because it's like full circle everything.
I never could get into Bleach that
I
much.
it has lots of problems, very lots of problems, but you know what? Fuck it, I like it.
Hey, I'm not here to judge you. We all have our own preferences.
Exactly.
Like me, I still like Pokemon, but I only like the original first and the first Kanto League and the Johto League. After that, it just went okay, enough.
Oh god, the first CD, the original series is like, you could grab the 90s.
I know, and 4 kids dubbing.
Yeah, I will give this, for kids, when they're given kid shows to dub, they do a good job.
It's when they try to do
One Piece.
team-based shows like One Piece and
Yeah.
Shaman King. Well, actually, I think the Shaman King dub was actually pretty decent. It's actually kind of surprising that they kept some of the religious references in because it's a multicultural anime,
Yeah.
which is actually quite a surprise. Oh
Then
yeah,
there's,
keeping Faust in and having him reach into Morty's chest. Yeah, they kept that in.
didn't they dub Ultimate Muscle?
I I just did not. I don't like wrestling. Okay.
I love professional wrestling. It's the only sport I will ever watch.
There's only. I don't really like wrestling that much. I know a few of the wrestlers, like Andre the Giant because he was in Princess Bride, which is actually kind of funny. Me, I also know about the Ultimate Warrior, thanks to this Spoonie.
Then
I am the Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan. I
of
will
course,
admit,
then
if
of
I were a
course
fan of
there's
wrestling, I would so love this guy, if only because of the insanity.
then of course there's the god of wrestling, Hulk Hogan, because everybody
Yeah,
knows.
everybody knows Hulk Hogan.
Because to any wrestling fans out there, no matter how much shit you give Hogan, just remember, no Hulk Hogan, the wrestling would not be what it is today.
I can kind of agree to that. I'm
No,
sure
like
some of
what
my fans might disagree, some might agree. That's the beauty of opinions. We all have them.
I would argue that like take Hulk Hogan out of the picture, wrestling would still be like where it was in the 60s and 70s, sort of a territorial sort of thing. Hogan brought wrestling to the mainstream and made it a big deal.
Made it the whole, almost theatrics type thing.
Exactly. And then Stone Cold Steve Austin kind of did the same thing, kind of like revamped it. And
Yeah.
then you have John C. Whatever you say, what John Cena and whatever your opinions
Oh,
of him
here's
are.
my question. What got you into anime? Like, what was your first anime?
Toonami.
Oh, Toonami. When I was a little kid, I don't remember which came first, Sailor Moon or Pokemon. I remember my
It's,
first episode of Pokemon was the episode where it was that Pokemon fighting tournament, with Mankey, Machop, Hitmonlee. That
yeah.
was my first episode, and I just loved it. I mean, the animation was different. Sailor Moon, on the other hand, well, even though I was a boy, I still liked it because it was funny and
I
cheerful.
liked it because it reminded me of Power Rangers.
Yeah, it actually does have sort of that. You also get that Sentai thing. And when I was a little kid, I loved the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
I still do.
Oh, me too. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Even I look back and it's like all goofy and everything, but it
Oh
has that
God.
charm that you just can't get. You just can't get out of your mind and just smile.
Really, I love all the Power Ranger seasons, well, almost all of them, just because, it's sort of like that thing where it's like watching it every single day.
Yeah, my
I still,
favorite would have to be Dino Thunder because they brought back Tommy. That was a great move.
it was, and he's coming back for Megaforce.
I mean, come on, he's a veteran ranger. It sort of connects continuities together.
Well, here's sort of a continuity thing. In Megaforce, Tommy comes back as the Green Ranger.
Ooh, nice.
No, but just like wrap your head around that. Weren't the Green Ranger powers destroyed?
Or at least be evil.
No, they were gone. Like
Yeah, that
literally.
too. I mean, even if they brought him back, isn't that still evil power?
I think it is evil power, but Tommy wasn't brainwashed, so
He was
he could.
basically, it was just basically controlling the dark emotions that were within him, and he just overcame them. And
Yeah,
all that anime jazz, overcoming the darkness within you, blah blah blah. We've all seen that trope before.
I don't mind like overcoming your inner monster. I kind of like those stories when they're done right.
Yeah. By the way, Naruto had one of those things with the waterfall of truth.
Oh god.
Yeah.
But I will say this: the original Naruto series, I do like.
Oh yeah. My favorite scene is definitely the fight between Sasuke and Orochimaru in the Forest of Death. That was like one of the best fights ever. One of the most well animated, well paced, just a crowning moment of badassery. Why
Mine would
couldn't more fights be like that?
would rather have to be Naruto versus Neji or Naruto versus Gaara, which is kind of ironic considering I just thought of Naruto as well. Actually, this was the original series where I was like, I could see him becoming Hokage one day,
I could. He actually has his drive.
and especially like when he fought Gaara, I'm like using everything he had learned up until that point.
Yeah, that was great character development.
And
Showing
then
that
it's
he has
like,
learned, he has grown as a character, and, he's taken on was basically a copy of himself. Only, what would happen if Naruto didn't have friends?
well, I think they should have emphasized that a little more instead of kind of doing it like right during the fight, but whatever.
Still, I liked
It,
Gaara. Gaara's cool.
and then came Shippuden and like the Child of Prophecy bullshit.
Yes! And by toads, no less. What,
Jesus.
the slugs and the snakes have their own prophecy? Is there like a snake or slug mountain? Be
That's
like,
like there's a bunch of toads and I'm like, we've officially jumped the shark, haven't we?
it's like, I have a prediction. What is it? I'm afraid that this series is about to jump the shark. And Kasami like walks into the thing. Did somebody call me? Did somebody like call me? And then like a DVD of Naruto jumps over it, hops over his head. It's like, what the hell just happened?
I gotta figure out how to do. I gotta figure out how to do that with a clip. Just do that.
Yes,
I
that
gotta.
would be so funny.
When I get a better editor, I gotta try to do that.
Jump the Kasami.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what happened with Shippuden. They jumped the Kasami.
I know. Like I like. Don't get me wrong. I like Sai because he reminds me of Data from Next Gen, and
Yes,
that's a
Sai is
good thing.
actually pretty good. He actually has a great backstory and some good character development himself.
But my problem with him is that Naruto was ostracizing, and I'm like, weren't you the one like one series ago, preaching about acceptance and stuff?
Exactly. I mean, I
And they don't
understand
even.
the whole I'm uncomfortable with replacing Sasuke because he's still my friend, but ugh.
I had a problem with that as well. You want to bring someone. You're trying to rescue someone who was never kidnapped and doesn't want to be rescued.
Exactly.
It really should have been about, sort of like this thing where, I trusted you, you were my friend, you were my best friend, and you stabbed me in the back, so now I'm going to kick the crap out of you.
Yeah.
And
And
now,
then Sasuke became good and everything's alright. I'm like, what?
fuck you.
Okay, no. I would buy maybe Sasuke realizing his mistake and turning himself into the authorities and maybe they imprison him. I would be willing to buy that. Have him actually feel bad and actually be willing to pay the penalty.
Exactly.
I mean, if he did that, I don't think anyone would have any problem. But
I might have a little problem with it, but it would at least make sense.
also, what time period are they in? We've seen as Naruto the Abridged series pointed out, they live in a time where they have computers. I have seen radios. I have seen so many things. So what age do they live in?
They live in their own age.
It makes no sense.
Well, neither does the Soul Society, which is supposed to be sort of like a feudal age, have movie theaters and a fucking news place with laptops and stuff. And
Point taken. Point taken.
I don't know.
So, other anime. How about Rurouni Kenshin?
I don't remember much about that.
I thought it was really good. Great animation, and the music and the voice work was pretty good for the time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the problem with 90s dubbing. It's either really good or really, really bad.
I don't get what people bitch about the dubs of today.
I think they do good dubbing. I mean, the only company that really seems to fuck up is usually 4Kids, and that's usually for their, teen-based stuff. Like
when they're doing kids shows, it's like for kids, it's like good. You're doing a good job.
They actually did a decent job, especially even in Pokemon nowadays. It's still good. Yu-Gi-Oh, on the other hand,
GX in 5Ds was good.
And I can say that Zexal, or rather, it's pronounced Zeal, if you can believe it. But I'd say is okay. And I think Zeal is actually one of the better of the series.
I haven't seen Zeal.
I like Yuma better because he actually sucks in the beginning. He actually has to work his way up to being good.
So he's not like overpowered?
No, he's not like Yusei or Jaden. Jaden has lost a few times, and he actually has made mistakes.
Yeah.
Yusei is just a perfect duelist. I'm just like, enough with the Gary suing. I don't think he's ever lost a
He lost to Jack once.
Yeah, that's it.
And I'm not sure, was it legitimate? Was it a legitimate loss or something? I think it might have been.
I don't even remember. In the manga, there is a manga. He actually lost to Jack, but mostly because, well, he had to save a friend. But and he also lost in another thing against what was her name?
The Rose chick?
Yeah.
With the chick with the Black Rose Dragon? I don't know. I don't remember her name.
I thought 5Ds was okay, and I still like the original Yu-Gi-Oh, even with the crap dubs and editing and the invisible guns.
The invisible gun?
You know how they literally airbrush the guns out so it looks like you're just pointing at them.
Oh.
If I were on that, I would just paint them bright green or pink and maybe put a lightning bolt on it. Sure, it looks silly, but hey, it's a weapon.
Yeah.
I mean, and should I remind you, this is a show where a guy sucked someone's soul out and put him into a card.
Yeah.
And you're worried about guns being in the show.
Shadow Realm having your eternal soul being trapped inside of a realm of a darkness and eternal pain.
Yu-Gi-Oh! The abridged series pointed out.
Yeah.
That is actually... I actually think that's worse than being killed.
Pretty much.
If there is a hell, and it's a Shadow Realm, I'd rather die and just hope I don't go there.
Well, GX was my favorite because it's like, hey look, kids, a school for dueling.
Dude,
why wasn't I born in this universe again?
Yes! Why couldn't I be born in the universe? Except for the Night of the Living Duelists. That was actually legitimately creepy.
What episode was that?
It was when they got transported to that other dimension, the whole school, and everybody became the dual ghouls.
No, I don't remember that.
Oh, that was it. I think that was in season 2.
Oh, I'm on episode 106 now. I must have missed that.
Really? They had some new duelists. They had Professor Viper.
Oh, well, I'm just at the beginning of that.
Ah, trust me, it will get legitimately creepy soon.
So it's like when I watched the Bonds Beyond Time 10th anniversary movie, I'm like, didn't Jade infuse himself with Bell or something?
Yeah, he did, but 4Kids never dubbed that last season.
But they never dubbed the last season of GX?
Nope.
What the fuck?
I agree.
What the fuck?
That's
Seriously?
gonna confuse so many people. I mean, there's nothing stopping us from going on the internet, but some people don't know about that. Some people usually just assume, okay, that's the end of the series.
Or how like Funimation never dubbed the last half of D Gray Man. I'm like,
I've never actually seen that one.
it's pretty good.
How about Case Closed?
I've never even heard of that.
It's called Detective Conan, but here in the U.S. it's Case Closed. It's a nice
Uh,
detective murder mystery-esque manga with, each episode or two focusing on a different case.
that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I definitely, especially since the cases are actually you can actually solve who did it before the case is ended. It is actually possible.
Cool.
And I actually find it fun whenever I read a new manga novel. I mean, there is a lot of graphic novels. It's just like, wow, really good. Dubbing not half bad either.
I still don't get why people don't like the dubs. It's like, okay, you like to read subtitles, okay, but it's not terrible.
Well, in my opinion, a good dubbing adds to the experience. When it's bad, it kind of takes it out of it, but I'm willing to ignore it if the show is good.
Exactly.
That's why I still enjoyed the 4Kids One Piece, even though the dubbing was horrendous. Although,
Though
granted, the other edits, like getting rid of guns and so on,
that was
yeah.
kind of dumb.
Yeah, and omitting many arcs that will come up later on. That's the thing about Ichiro Oda. When it comes to his works, if you see a symbol, you see a character or something, you are most likely they're going to be referenced or they're going to play a more important role later.
Yes.
See Arlong's pirate crew, see the Seven Warlords of the Sea, see Captain Shanks and his relationship to said warlords.
Well, I just started watching it like on Toonami when it came on Toonami, like at the Davy Bat game. That's when I actually started starting to pay attention to stuff.
I actually like the anime a little better than the manga. They add more, and I think that's what I think I like better than why I do enjoy animes a tad more than the graphic novel, because they seem to add more to it.
Yeah, I guess, but I just don't. And I know people are gonna hate me for saying this, but I just don't really read comics.
Hey, I'm not gonna judge you.
No, like now the other people are gonna say it's not comics, it's manga. No, it's comics.
Well, it is Japanese comics. Manga is just a term for Japanese comics.
Exactly. I will admit that anime is sort of its own subgenre of cartoon,
On the
but
other hand, it's hard to find the line on that one because some people consider Avatar: The Last Airbender an anime or Hi Puppy Ami Yumi, which are
nah,
anime styled. So does that mean
I will concede to anime style, but it's Western animation.
exactly? So you can call it maybe Western anime.
That's as far as I'll go. Is like it was made in the U.S. It's not anime.
True. So what about Godzilla? It's clear you're also a major Godzilla fan. What got you into that?
I first watched Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla when I was like 5 or
Whoa,
6,
5 years old?
5 or 6, which like I was like, this is like the greatest thing ever. Like,
Well, yeah, it had explosions and dinosaur monsters and robots.
and Godzilla turning himself into a giant magnet.
Wait, what?
Well, he turned himself into a giant magnet after like getting his neck blasted by Mechagodzilla and blood was spurting out. I don't. And then I'm like, oh
Okay,
god.
now I gotta look that clip up later.
And then but first, have you seen the Godzilla flying dropkick?
I am not that big a fan of Godzilla because I haven't really grown up with him. I like knew sort of about him and like the whole pop culture, but I never really delved into it.
At least watch the original like Japanese first movie, because it's like comparing the first movie to like the rest of the first series. You're like, where the hell did this go? It went from dark, serious, people like literally dying in hospital, either dying or laying in hospitals from radiation poisoning and burns. You're like, oh well, this is dark. And then Sarazawa killing himself at the end by using the oxygen destroyer.
Damn.
Yeah. And then it's like every movie out after it, you're like, what the fuck? What the fuck am I watching? But like in the
Now,
good.
if there's one thing they probably should try making, Godzilla anime!
Yes, that'd be kind of cool.
Or maybe just at least a movie. It doesn't have to be a full series.
Yeah,
I could totally buy that.
but really, it's like really like when and then I would like whenever like sci-fi had like a Godzilla movie on, I'm like, oh sweet. It was usually GMK or Godzilla vs. Destroyer, but hey, I don't care. Those are two of my favorites. So in
Yeah.
GMK, it's like whenever Godzilla kills the monster, he absorbs their soul.
So does that mean Godzilla's a Highlander?
It was part of like this little series where they only acknowledge the first movie and ignore everything in between.
So does that mean Godzilla's a Highlander?
And that it kind of, sort of, except it's like he was possessed by the spirits of the people who died in World War II or something.
That's okay. Japan, you are messed up sometimes.
I know. I'm like, did we really? I mean, this Godzilla did a very good job of staying away from like the supernatural and sticking with the
It's a whole
just
science.
science. You know, it was like suspension of disbelief, like black hole cannon,
Yeah,
oxygen.
we're willing to believe, in a monster movie that, okay, if something could create a monster, we're willing to believe there's something that could destroy it that's a little outlandish.
Well, actually, if you watch the series, Godzilla's only died twice.
Well,
That
okay.
was in the first movie, and that was because of the oxygen destroyer, and then with Godzilla vs. Destroyer, he melts down after absorbing too much energy.
Oh, that's what you get for having too much energy. You
Uh,
melt.
but like, but no, like seriously, if he were to melt down or explode, it would destroy the world.
Damn.
Well, what happens is that after Junior gets killed, all the radiation is absorbed into Junior, and it's like, he's alive! Retcon!
Thank you, retcon.
It's like, retcon.
Alright, so what about video games? You play any of those?
Yeah, it's like Pokemon. That's my series.
Good old Pokemon. I remember my first game. It was Pokemon Blue.
Mine was good. What's your favorite game
I
of the
would
series?
actually have to say Pokemon Emerald. I like to think that I like the good sprite art. The mechanics are actually really good in there, and the amount of Pokemon you get, I'm not complaining.
Me, I will always go with Black and White 2, just because it's like it fixes all previous problems with the games, and Black and White 1 adds the 5th gen mechanics, which in my opinion are the best,
Fair
and just
enough.
makes it better. And I'm like, this is amazing.
I will give you that. Black and White 2 was fun. Not to
Um,
mention, I felt that it was a little harder than the other games.
oh God, yes. Like
Actually,
the only ones that harder I could think of are the original 2nd gen, and that's just like by a little bit.
yeah. And that was mostly due to the fact that it was playing off the first gen engine, not to mention, it's
Oh yeah.
and it was usually a new game, so you had no idea what to expect. Unless you followed the anime a lot, so you had like a cheat sheet there.
Yeah, I did that.
I think that's why I liked the original anime more than the newer ones, because back then it was like a cheat sheet. You couldn't just download game facts or anything.
True.
You had to watch the show to figure out, okay, let's see, this is new Pokemon, its specialty is this, okay. And this gym leader, okay, he's a poison type, Koga. Also, he's a fucking ninja. That is
Oh
me.
yay, ninjas.
Instant awesome. Add ninja. Godzilla. Make Godzilla ninja. Okay, hold on. That would actually be kind of funny to see Godzilla.
I do not. No, Godzilla is too awesome to be a ninja.
How about a pirate?
He's too awesome to be a pirate too. He's he ascends all of these other things to a new level of awesomeness.
What about Chuck Norris? What about Godzilla dressed up as Chuck Norris?
Well, you see, Godzilla and Chuck Norris are the same thing.
Dun dun dun!
Chuck Norris has many forms he takes throughout media. He's not just one thing. He's with all of us. He is Optimus Prime. He is Jason David Frank. He
Optimus
is
Prime. He
Godzilla.
died for your sins.
Everywhere.
So I'm going to assume that your love of dinosaurs came out of Godzilla, right?
Actually, no.
Hmm?
My love of dinosaurs didn't come from Jurassic Park either. One day, it's like I was watching Discovery Channel and Walking with Dinosaurs came on, and like deserving of that Emmy. It won multiple awards for how awesome it was.
Well, it makes sense.
It was amazing. It's information, and compare information to it, and compare information now, and it's like some of it's outdated, but it's like it was made in 1999 or 2000, so it's forgivable.
True.
So, but it's like really awesome, and I'm like, God, this is awesome.
So that's what basically got you interested.
Oh God, yes. Every documentary I wanted to go sit my ass on the floor and I'll watch it.
Well, for me, I got interested in dinosaurs thanks to Jurassic Park. Although after I watched Jurassic Park, I could never watch Barney again because I was afraid that Barney would eat the kids because he's a T-Rex.
Actually, fun fact: in the original book by Michael Crichton, they weren't velociraptors; they were Deinonychus.
Really?
Because velociraptors are like the size of turkeys in real life.
Ah, there was just a turkey with a giant claw.
Yeah, I think they were Deinonychus or Utah. I think they're Deinonychus. Because if they were a Utah raptor, it'd be like, no.
So it's just It's just a common misconception.
And even at the time in 1993, Tyrannosaurus Rex had the best vision of any land vertebrate ever, or at least one of the best.
I think they probably just went with that creative license in order to make the scene more suspenseful.
Exactly, but it's like even if he can't see you, he can smell you. They're all like their olfactory lobes, like where their sense of smell, took up half of the brain case, or like at least a quarter of it.
Even if I didn't know about that, I'm pretty sure it would smell better. Man, look at the size of those nostrils. Yeah.
Oh God, yes.
It will. You don't even need to know, the science behind it. I mean, big nose, big
it's
head,
a hunter,
big nose, gonna smell you.
Yeah, it's gonna smell you. But I understand suspension of disbelief. These aren't really dinosaurs. They're reptiles mutated by amphibian DNA, if that makes any sense.
Which was as a nostalgic would point out, there were some pretty dumb moments in the movie.
I know, it's like
the fact that there's a type of frog, they use a species of frog that can change gender. Oh yeah, that's pretty smart.
There are species of frogs that can change gender.
No, I know that, but it's kind of dumb to use that kind of DNA when you're trying to make dinosaurs.
It's honestly dumb. It's dumb to even use amphibian DNA. It's like, at that time in 1993, we kind of sort of knew birds and dinosaurs had this sort of connection. Couldn't you use bird DNA, or at the very least lizard DNA, even though how much it pisses me off?
Yeah, we're willing to go with, maybe not everybody knows that dinosaurs come from birds and are not.
No, lizards. Birds come from dinosaurs.
Sorry,
no.
I meant to say that. Not everybody knows that, but when you say okay, we're using lizard DNA, most people will get the connection.
Yeah, it's like
still not a bad movie.
I know.
Though Lost World, Jurassic Park, and Jurassic Park 3, on the other hand...
Actually, The Lost World I liked a little... is my favorite of the Jurassic Park trilogy.
And I do love that scene where the T-Rex is in the city wrecking the place, and it shows a Japanese couple, and one of them says, we left Japan to get away from this!
So, Jurassic Park 3, I'm like, it's not even the fact that Tyrannosaurus Rex... It's been confirmed that the T-Rex in the movie was a juvenile, not even full grown. It's like, imagine if it was full grown.
Damn. Quite the growth spurt.
But it's like, the Spinosaurus. I'm like, okay, they mutated it, made it a little stronger and faster and aggressive, so it could compete with the other large theropods on the island. Okay, fine, that's cool. But it's a fictional movie, so I just looking at people arguing which is better. I'm like, we barely have anything of Spinosaurus at all.
What exactly is a Spinosaurus? I mean, I'm not exactly going to be trusting Jurassic Park to give me a dino lesson.
Spinosaurus aegypticus is like the largest member of the family of Spinosaurs, and believe it or not, their main diet was fish.
Oh, so you mean like the Godzilla in the 1998 movie? That's
We
a
don't
lot of
talk
fish.
about we don't talk about that here, but it's like
Sorry.
the Spinosaurus lived in Africa because it didn't in the Sahara because Sahara didn't always used to be a desert wasteland. There were like patches of forest and mangrove swamps, large fish. Like they mainly ate fish, and I could see that. I could see it in like in Jurassic Park. It's like, okay, we're gonna make it stronger and faster and more aggressive to compete with the other large theropods on the island. We don't want them to like get completely wiped out. Fine, understand it. But when you start applying Jurassic Park logic to actual science, is when you start sounding like an idiot.
Oh, yeah. What's like the most annoying thing that you hear people say about dinosaurs?
Um, that they're lizards.
Yeah.
That pisses me. I'm like, I understand. If you don't know anything about dinosaurs, I'll explain. I'll explain it to you. They belong to separate orders, technically, even though if you know about like the classification of life, they've added superorder, infraorder, suborder. This is why, like, it's like the original way we classify life is just kind of like sort of obsolete because there's really no every level above species is kind of just for our convenience.
And to anyone who says that, but dinosaur means terrible lizard, it was done that when they first discovered the dinosaurs because
In
they
1841, when we didn't know anything about them, by believe it or not, Sir Richard Owen, even though all of his colleagues told him about the more avian characteristics of iguanodon, he like literally just ignored all of them and just decided to make it his. And he was in every means of the word a creation scientist. He actually even tried to distinguish humans from apes by making up a completely fictitious part of the brain.
ugh.
You brilliant man, but just terrible ethics.
And moving on to that, what made you stop believing in God? What made you an atheist?
Um,
You don't
that's,
need to answer if you don't wish to.
oh no, that's fine, that's fine. What made me sort of stop is like I was a Christian and kind of petered into like I kind of sort of believe in the Christian God, but not really, and then deist, then agnostic. Then when I watched Eric Hoven's like video, like my very first response to my creationist, I'm like, no, God doesn't exist. If
Yeah,
if he allows if a God existed, he wouldn't his God in particular, he wouldn't let him spew the absolute lies that he does.
and why don't you remind people here what he said? Because I don't think everybody here knows who you're talking about.
Eric Eric Hovind is the son of convicted fraud and pseudoscience charlatan Kent Hovind. He's in prison for tax fraud. He's going to be out, I think, in 2 years. But
Santa Christ help us all when he does.
but like it really depends on will anybody still listen to him. That's
Here's
the thing.
hoping no one does.
You'd be surprised how many people still rush to Kent Hovind's defense. You're like, listen, I mean, if you're still buying to the shitbags like Ken Ham, Ray Comfort, Kirk Cameron, Eric Hovind, Ian Juby, whatever. If you're still buying into their bullshit, you know what? You're an idiot. But if you still buy into Kent Hovind's bullshit, then I can't help you, and neither can Jesus.
Yeah, if Jesus, Jesus himself is face palming if he does exist.
Honestly, just
You're
watch like one segment of a Kent Hovind seminar and try to rack up the amount of lies he tells.
It's the Ken Hovind drinking game. Take a shot every time he says something stupid or unscientific. You'll
Oh
probably be
God,
dead by the end of the seminar.
I will never forget his 6 definitions of evolution. It's one of the biggest straw men I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, what a lot of people don't seem to understand about evolution is that evolution does not always mean changing into does not mean into changing and adapting into something better. Sometimes evolution downgrades things. Like,
Actually, that you can't really down. If you're talking about like downgrade in terms of like one lineage branches off and becomes like really intricate, and another kind of stays sort of the
no,
same.
I'm thinking about like fish that live way deep in the ocean where they lose their eyesight because they don't need the
Oh
eyesight.
yeah, yeah.
I understand maybe you got gotta get confused about that, but you see where I'm coming from.
Yeah, well, that's like a misconception. People think evolution is a ladder, where there's some sort of ultimate goal where things get bigger and better. When really, no, they don't. There's no goal. It's just animals adapting to their environments. And if something does get sort of better than what its ancestor was, then cool. But that doesn't always happen.
Just look at dog breeding. That's essentially evolution.
No, that's microevolution, not macroevolution. Even though they're the same thing.
Are you being sarcastic or are you correcting me?
No, I'm being sarcastic.
Okay, just making sure.
That's the creationist thing. We see microevolution, kinds things of the same kind interbreeding. And I'm like, what is a kind?
Yes.
What is a kind? And it's like I could name like literally. I would like, okay, you want to play this kind game? Tell me the difference between, oh, I don't know. Let's see. Um, the saber-toothed cat and Barbarophilus. Can you tell, like, I would always ask creationists questions like that. Can you tell me what kind each of them are? And they would always ignore the question.
Yeah. They're like feminists who seem to sort of ignore, well, most radical feminists. Some actual, people, decent women who call themselves feminists do actually listen to reason.
I argue that it's like the Anita Sarkeesians, Gail Dines, Adrian Dorkins of the world are like a small radical faction of sort of like poisoning feminism, kind of like how creationism is poisoning religion, even though religion kind of poisons itself. But
Oh no, I don't think religion is poisoning itself. In fact, I see religion was basically started off as the first scientific advancement. Think about it. It was the first thing to basically explain, okay, what's that big glowing thing up there? That's our God. Why? He gives us heat. Okay. Then years later, okay, what is that? That's a ball of gas. Okay. Okay, so why is it giving us heat? Because it's burning and it's releasing energy? How can we test this? It just basically started off as the first step of scientific advancement.
But
Problem.
it really like I understand like religion's sort of like this thing where it's the people that who are part of it can either just make it sort of like kind of like peaceful or like go full blown crusade, Inquisition, Salem witch trials,
Yes.
Muslim jihad on you.
And I don't like how creationists are like, oh, the Bible is all about peace and love.
Uh,
Remind me again what the Crusades were all about.
like remind me again. What does Exodus? What does Well, sorry. What does Deuteronomy? I can't remember. It's the verse in Deuteronomy where it says if your daughter is raped, she has to marry her rapist, and then if you work on Sunday, you deserve to die or you will be killed.
Hmm. So maybe we should warn Venom Fang X about that because if he uploads a video on Sunday, that means he's working technically.
Yes.
Hmm. How?
It's just Venom Fang. There's Venom Fang X is delusional as all hell.
Although, well, yeah, my dad's still a creationist, and so is my mom. And you know what? They respect my decision. I respect theirs.
Now, are they Christian or
They're
creationists?
Christian.
Oh, creationists are people who reject all science that contradicts
Oh,
religion.
my bad. They're Christian, and they
Exactly.
believe there is a God and stuff.
And so is my family, but like I like a lot of people don't really kind of understand. The creationists are people who like reject all science that contradicts their book of fables, and they like take the Bible literally. Christians are more they interpret the Bible, they accept uh, most scientific advancements and stuff. They accept science even if it does contradict with their book. I may not necessarily agree with Christianity, but I don't necessarily hate it.
Okay, you're okay with it. You're just upset about those Christian even, yeah,
Evangelical.
thank you groups who pretty much spout more bullshit than a sewage treatment plant.
Yes, exactly. I just don't. I understand you in the United States of America, First Amendment. I respect that. But as soon as you start touting it as like fact, or worse yet, trying to get pseudoscience taught in our schools alongside one of the most, if not the most supported theory in science, that's when I draw the line.
Maybe we should explain what scientific theory means, because I think a lot of people still don't exactly get what difference between theory in everyday life between scientific theory.
A scientific theory, for those who don't know, is compiled of facts, just one giant collaboration of facts, and and the theory is actually what describes things. Basically, laws of our universe. Sorry, theories explain things, not define. Laws are the things that define, like law of conservation of matter, like the Cole's law, punctuated equilibrium, whatever.
Exactly.
Laws define. Theories explain. See, theory of evolution explains the diversity of life. The Big Bang explains the origin of the universe.
And in theories, usually every day will come under, prodded with different things like, okay, let's see, we got this theory of motion, we got this like theory of, the
Gravity.
uni- of like evolution, and we take different facts that we found out and see if they still hold up. And when they
Exactly.
don't hold up, the they figure out why it doesn't hold up and alter the theory to add to this new fact.
Exactly.
Huh.
Exactly. And like if we like for like when creationists like say evolution, like if it made like one incorrect prediction, like if it was something small, I'd go gravity or Newtonian mechanics. I think it's Newtonian mechanics. Or no, it's gravity. Gravity incorrectly predicts the orbit of Mercury around the sun. We don't know what gravity is. We've never observed the actual force of gravity. We don't know why matter attracts matter. We don't know why gravity is a consequence of mass. All we see things is falling down. We could blame that on magic too, but we don't.
Yeah, because we actually do tests, we make observations, and we do this. That's what I don't like about people using the Bible as their defense for God. They got a book that says that God exists because it was written by man who was told by God to write the book that proves circular logic.
And I've actually been told, but if you go to my like second video of creationist logic build on my side channel, I've been told that like transitional forms, that's somehow circular logic. I'm like, what the fuck?
I
Basically, just
also hate Kirk Cameron's look of painting of a
crocodile.
crocoduck. Although I
Croc.
will admit, it's a really good painting. I mean, that's become a meme on the internet, and it actually looks
For
kind of
and
cool.
like the only thing that's correct about that is like both are archosaurs and that's it. But it's like, no, no. Darwin himself explained why we shouldn't find something like that. Read The Origin of Species, Kirk. Darwin explains what a transitional form is. He explained what we would find, what the transitional form might be if we were to find one. Not to mention, he predicted that life, both extant and extinct, is somehow connected into a tree of different paths diverging from the same common ancestor.
And
Every single prediction evolution has ever made has been correct.
and let's not forget that even if Charles Darwin actually makes a few mistakes, he has the groundwork set up, and not to mention he was going in a time when we couldn't look at cells. at high detail, or actually, he barely knew what DNA. He probably didn't even know what DNA or RNA was.
DNA wasn't discovered until the 60s.
Exactly. He didn't know this sort of thing. He didn't know everything,
But
and
he
he was
did
able to set the groundwork.
but he did predict that units of information were passed on to from parent to offspring.
Yes, which was actually
DNA.
proven through like horse breeding and dog breeding, and he pretty much saw that if that works for like animals, would it work for us? And he basically came up with that theory by using
Exactly.
observational evidence and testing by both plants and animals. Plants via pea pods.
Yeah, like through Gregor Mendel. But the sad thing was when Gregor Mendel figured out like how evolution happens, Darwin died like a few days when he published his when he gave him his paper
Oh,
because they
I guess I mixed up the dates. I am so bad at history.
that's fine. But it's like and then of course like they attacked Darwin for being racist when no he wasn't. He was the exact opposite. He was appalled by racism and slavery. He criticized slave owners constantly.
And let's not forget about people saying that Nietzsche once said that there is masters and there are slaves. Why do people have to, quote mine and basically
Why?
try and defame people?
I
Well,
don't I don't know. It's like then of course my favorite is like my favorite is like Hitler was an evolutionist. Yeah, no, he was a creationist.
yeah.
He was a creationist. He himself in his writings in Mein Kampf, I believe it was chapter 11 volume 6 I think. I don't know. It's like chapter 11 volume 6 or something like that. I'm probably wrong, but he said in one verse he said such a belief is a damnable sin against the Almighty Creator.
Mm-hmm. He might not have been a creationist, but he definitely
Oh, he
believed
was
in
a creationist.
something.
He really was a creationist. He like basically he like throughout Mein Kampf he
I'm
described
sorry, I
that.
meant to say a Christian or something.
Oh yeah, he was a Christian. He was Roman Catholic.
Ah.
I mean, it's obviously plain. It's plain in his writings. But here's Kent Hovind's response to that. Hitler hated Christianity.
That was the sound of me smacking my forehead.
And I'm like, shit. And then if I was in the presence of Kent Hovind, I'm like, if you're willing to lie to the government, what makes you think that I'm going to believe you?
Yeah, here's something. Here's one of my favorite arguments on a creationist. Okay, take a car. Someone made it. Did someone designed it? So it has to be the same for, say, humans. Someone had to design us. The whole
This
intelligent
this is
design.
this is my response. Cars and motorcycles can't reproduce, can't pass on their genes to the next generation, and they aren't subjected to population genetics.
No, my response is, okay, so everything has a creator. And they're like, yeah. So what created God? God? But how can that be? How can he both exist and not exist? That is a physical impossibility, just like having two objects in the same space.
They figured out how they'll always say God has always existed because he's supernatural. And
Well, how can he always exist if there is a beginning of time? If there is a beginning of something, that would mean he did not exist before that beginning.
because fuck all logic.
Because fuck logic, Bible says so. By that logic, I could write a piece of paper that says every religion is wrong. This piece of paper is this piece of paper is right.
It just can't, especially when I say the Earth is 6,000 years, or like, no, not sorry, but when I say Noah took two of every kind of animal, I'm like, okay, A, what's a kind, and B, you do realize that 99.9% of all animals that have ever lived are now extinct?
Yeah, I guess that's where they got their food source.
And not to mention Noah brought like paramammalian proto-mammal cynodonts. He brought literal bear dogs and dog bears. He brought like carnivorous ungulates, semi-aquatic ungulates. He brought.
You know what? Here's what I usually give creationists. I usually give them, okay, when he made the ark, God gave him Gallifreyan technology from Doctor Who and basically made it so it's bigger on the inside. I'm willing to give him that. What I won't give him is, okay, you got all these animals, everything dries up. How do you take them across to Australia and North America?
Especially when some animals have only lived in especially Australia or Madagascar.
Or fresh
Some animals.
water? Like, how'd they get the fish over? I mean, if the Earth flooded, all that salt water would probably have, engulfed it.
Well, one like a little annotation on one of Eric Hoven's videos when he was explaining that is that there was no salt water before the flood. I know.
You
I know. Despite all evidence against it.
I'm pretty sure if God does exist, he's probably face palming at people like this. It's like, why did I evolve them from monkeys? When I knew they were gonna do this, I wanted to evolve them from lizards so they can have natural armor and everything. That'd be actually kind of cool. But no, my son wanted to be an ape-like creature so he can walk upright and have opposable thumbs. Me, damn it.
Well, you could have made him a theropod. They walk on two legs.
That's true. And one of my other favorite logics is, okay, according to the writing, God exists, therefore God exists. Well, alright, what about the writing from other religions? What about the Greeks, the Mesopotamians, Babylonians, Aztecs, Mayans? And
The ironic thing about that is that Sumerian and Babylonian mythology is where the Bible originated.
yeah,
Like,
don't say.
yeah. Like what? Like go to Aaron Ra's channel for a little more information on that.
You don't say. So, that's the case. The earliest religion is Mesopotamian, and they believed that, when we die, we just go into a dark, existence where we eat nothing but dust, no matter what you were in life. By the logic that the Bible's the first written book, well, the first recounted religion should probably be, the correct one, right?
Yeah.
Gotta love that logic. Logic.
Oh, my favorite creationist argument is that there's never been a transitional form, and I'm like,
You have
oh,
shown
really?
on your video there are plenty of transitional forms.
Oh, really? Really? Get out the Vaseline because I'm gonna shove that shit right back up your ass.
It came out your mouth, but it's coming back up your ass.
Oh God.
It'd be like that.
It's like
South Park.
And especially of course there's like the genius argument of if we evolved from apes, why are there still apes? And I go, why are you still an ape? Why am I still an ape? Why are apes still monkeys? Can you answer that question? It's especially hard explaining how evolution isn't a ladder, it's a tree to people.
Basically the answer to that argument is that when a species evolves, it doesn't mean that the species before it just died out suddenly.
Exactly.
It's not like, oh, we got a new form, everybody commit Harry Carey.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like that. I mean, ironically, Aristotle was the one who first proposed that things sort of came from a common ancestor, but his model was wrong.
Yeah.
His model was wrong. The idea was right, but his model was wrong.
Yeah, there were always those early thinkers who thought outside the box, but were usually suppressed.
Yeah, and then there was Lamarck who came up with I think it was descent with acquired characteristics. Again, he had the right idea, but he was still wrong. And then Darwin came along and
but very good, right idea, set foundation. Wrong on a few points, but mostly because he had lack of technology and knowledge, inner workings.
Exactly.
I don't see why creationists still attack him. I mean, scientists will usually agree that, yeah, Charles Darwin wasn't 100% correct. He just laid the groundwork.
You have to remember, not most creationists know they're wrong and know everything they say is bullshit. They know every single thing they say is a lie.
Also, notice what I know. What's something I noticed? Ken Hovind and his son tend to sell, stuff,
yeah.
and make money off of this.
Yeah.
Isn't there a Bible verse that says, "Let's not make my house one of commerce"?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hypocrisy much?
Hypocrisy. What's that? Or
Oh,
like
oh,
how the
like,
Bible tells you, "Thou shalt not kill," and Moses brought down the Ten Commandments. What did God tell him when some of his followers started making that golden cattle?
oh, to slaughter every single last one of them.
uh,
Jesus Christ. It's just, I can handle stupid, but when you start becoming dishonest is when I just draw the line.
yep.
If you're gonna be ranting, raving idiot, you know what? Fine. More entertainment for me. But if you're gonna start lying and projecting your dishonesty onto me and others, that's when I get pissed.
So that's why you started becoming a ranter, because you were starting to get sick and tired of unscientific bullshit.
Especially, yeah. I mean, like if you're not sure about something, and if like someone corrects you and you go, thanks, and like, no problem. I have no problem with you. You didn't know. But if you're literally lying and knowing you're wrong, then it's like, no, you know what? No,
That's
fuck you.
academic dishonesty.
Exactly.
There's
See, this is
nothing
why
wrong.
this is where intelligent design fails.
Yes, there's nothing wrong with saying, "I honestly don't know." In fact, scientists will usually never say we know all the answers. That's why
Exactly.
that's the thing about science. It's always changing, always evolving. I mean, let's face it. Way back in medieval times, they had science that basically said the Earth revolves around the sun revolves around the Earth, and then
And that's especially one argument that creationists like to use. If we all went with the consensus, then the consensus back like in the 1600s was that the sun revolves around the Earth, and I'm like, oh gee, I wonder who proposed that preposterous idea.
oh yeah, and there's some creationists who believe that the Bible should be taken literally and that the Earth is flat because the Bible says the four corners of the Earth.
Then of course there's a creationist like who acknowledge. I believe the theory is called geosphericity. I could be wrong, but geosphericity, like the Earth is round. And I'm like, doesn't Isaiah say that the Earth is flat? So if the Bible is like literally true, then the Earth should
Exactly.
be flat.
I mean, the Earth isn't completely round. I mean, we've actually proven that the Earth is actually somewhat bulging near the equator, if you can
Well,
believe it.
yeah. I mean, of course, it's not going to be completely round, but it's not flat.
Exactly. See, that's the beauty of science. I mean, we learned when we went up into space. We're like, the Earth is round. It's a completely round. And we're like, years later, no, it's not completely round. It's a bit bulging in the middle. But hey, that's still pretty cool.
Exactly. And then, oh, especially wait, if you want something if you want something like really funny, go to Answers in Genesis. Go to their homepage. Go to their About Us. Click scroll down until you get the Statement of Faith. Go all the way down the page. Last bullet is that they say whenever reality contradicts Scripture, reality must be rejected. I'm not kidding.
You've
It's
got to
that
be kidding me.
I shit you not.
I, I, what?
Oh,
Why?
and Eric Hovind, he practices and promotes something called presuppositional apologetics, where he like goes with a circular argument or logic that the Bible is right because it's the Word of God because it says so and like that. He admits to having a foundational bias based on absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I mean, by the logic, I could say that Doctor Who is teach is showing us what real history is because he went to the past and he showed events that happened in the past. Therefore, he must have been there. I could.
I could easily say to him that I found a spaceship with 108 108 people in there, 98% of which were female, and just I could just start spewing that out, and if people will start, it depends. People will believe anything.
Yeah,
Then
humans are kind of dumb that way.
exactly, and it's especially even sometimes I forget that humans are animals.
I don't also like the fact that creationists say we're not animals.
The very
Uh,
fact that you eat
bull.
and ingest living cells, by definition, you are an animal.
Yeah, I mean we're an advanced species of animal capable of cognitive thought and communication, but that doesn't change the fact that we're animals. We're just a higher grade of animal. I
I
mean,
would
let's
then.
face it. If a species of animal got bigger and more dangerous and we couldn't stop it, we're dead.
I
Just
mean,
by the
we would be able to stop it with our modern technology, but if like dinosaurs, like non-avian dinosaurs, were alive back in like medieval or Stone Ages, there's no way our ancestors would be able to compete with them.
I mean, yeah,
There's no way. In modern technology, yeah, we could compete with them. We could annihilate them.
that's actually what gave us the edge. The fact that we could think, the fact that we evolved in such a way that we were actually able to use tools, think, use logic. That's
Yeah,
what
I mean,
made us superior. We didn't just have instinct.
and it really does piss me off when it says humans are the only animals for compassion. I'm like, bull fucking shit.
I mean, we've seen apes care for other animals in zoos, right? I mean, you know,
Elephants mourn the dead of their own. They like literally mourn their death. They like pick up the bones, or like whenever one of their herd mates dies, they'll like stay there for hours until they
exactly.
die.
Maybe we're not we're the only ones who can actually show full on compassion. Maybe that's instinct, but that's not to say that the animals don't care for other species. She's occasionally. Some animals work together with with different species of animals
Symbiosis. Yep.
in form of working together. That could be a sign of compassion.
I mean, there are some odd animal pairings. Like I believe, I'm not sure if they're still around, but there's like a bear and a cat, a grizzly and a cat that are best friends.
Oh, I think I read about that.
And it's like, and I mean, it's like especially with like we're above, like we have domain all animals. Just 10,000 years ago. No, no, I'm sorry, not 10,000 years ago. Just like 5 to 600 years ago on New Zealand, we were running from giant eagles.
Yeah, pretty much. The only reason why we're the dominant species is because we're like one of the few animals that can actually use tools. I mean,
We're very
chimp,
generalized, basically. They're
apes,
like
apes and monkeys, they know they can use tools, but not to the extent that we can.
exactly. And this
And
is this.
before any creationists go and say, "Well, that's because God made you that way," I think that me and Jacob are willing to believe that while it's somewhat of a big coincidence, it still can be factored down to evolution and just the right, setting and timing.
No, for me, it's like, well, look at the fossils. We have bipedal apes. We found the ancestor to humans and chimps. We found either the ancestor to all humans or like a representative of maybe the cousin or sister species that was. We have hundreds upon hundreds of individuals of different human species, some of which, like Neanderthals, lived with humans, and then there were like literal hobbits that lived in Indonesia. We have dozens of human species. So
Reminds me,
tell me,
that does
which
kind of
one?
remind me of that episode of Futurama where with the evolving robots and that
Yes,
chimpanzee's trying to prove that there is a god. Like say,
yes,
"Oh, where's the missing link? Oh, we already found it. Well, where's that missing link? Oh, well, we already found it." And he keeps going and going until he comes to a point where he couldn't find a link between all sorts of skulls,
exactly.
like monkeys, and he's like, or we still haven't found it yet, but we could still find it.
Even if we
Or
don't
there could
find
be
it,
a creation. A
this is me. Doesn't matter if we found it. It doesn't matter if we ever find it. The fact that we've traced the phylogeny, or the like phylogeny being like classifying by DNA, the very fact that that 98% of your DNA is the exact same as a chimp's is demonstrable proof of it.
Exactly.
Then they'll pull up the same designer shit, and I'm like, no,
We're
shut up.
and you can't prove it, therefore God must exist.
No, I can't. And then I go, no, I can't. I'll say to them, no, I can prove it. And
Yeah.
here,
Honestly, I don't know which is worse, the creationists or the feminists. They all seem to work from the same playbook.
the feminists are a more left wing, and creationists are right wing, but they operate by the same logic. They start with their conclusion and try to find evidence to support it.
Exactly.
Instead of
Scientists
being
work by just usually they'll have some sort of parameters like trying to discover something. They don't say, "Hey, oh, the sun revolves around the earth. Let's find information that proves it."
no, they search for facts, examine the facts, come to a conclusion.
That's how proper science works.
Exactly.
I mean, we may
And
have some parameters for like what we're looking for. It's not like they just go and do random stuff and find facts. They usually
exact
trying to discover something.
and not to mention, especially when people say evolution has been disproven, I'm like, okay, if evolution was disproven, then we wouldn't be using it.
Mhm.
I can,
Exactly.
we wouldn't be using it. Science is like you think that all these science, all the fields of that use evolution, paleontology, botany, sociology, biology, ecology, etc. You think all the people that rely on this one unifying theory that is the cornerstone, if not the backbone of modern biology, are all lying and using an outdated theory? Then why does it make such accurate predictions? Why are all of its predictions have been and still are coming true?
Mhm.
Well, and even if it was to be disproven, we can't give up, throw our hands up in the air, and blame magic.
Exactly. Like, we can't see air, but we see the effects. But just because, oh, you can't see air, therefore God has to it must be God. Like,
No,
we can prove it and we can show you. Just because you can't see it, just because we can't touch it, doesn't make it get unbelievable. Just like we don't know we don't exactly know what caused the Big Bang. We see residual effects from it. We can prove that it must have happened. We can come up with a timeline. If we find something that changes, that comes up that says the Big Bang was caused in a different way from what we don't know, then we'll change it. Science isn't concrete.
for 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 me, it's like even if there is a God, evolution is still a fact. Even if your God exists, evolution is still a fact.
God just created evolution because he was bored one day. He thought, it'd be
Exactly.
funny if I made that fish start getting little fins that could become like legs. That would be so fun.
Yeah. Honestly, whenever I ask a creationist, what's the definition of a fish? They'll always give me the same definition. We found fish with lungs, fish with legs, fish with both lungs and gills. We found fish with hips. We found fish with necks. Fish is not an accurate definition anymore.
Yeah. We just usually use fish as like a catch-all term, just like birds,
Yeah.
mammals, and so on.
Birds are bird is just now birds are just now a subset of are just a subset of theropod dinosaur, but yeah.
Yeah. Man, wouldn't it be cool if dinosaurs really did walk on land? Maybe not the big carnivores, but some of the herbivores. That'd be so
Well,
cool.
I'm pretty sure if like some of the non-avian dinosaurs did sort of survive, we might see them, but I don't know. But especially it really angers me where it's like there's Mekele Amembe like as a sauropod. I have to explain to them sauropods travel all the time. They have to. They have to. They're these multi-ton mega herbivores that have to move from place to place to place to place to place, eating hundreds and eating tons and tons of food a day. Because if they stay in the same place at one time, they'll
They'll run
you
out.
know yeah they'll run out. They have to move from place to place to place to place,
In fact,
sometimes hundreds.
a lot of dinosaurs obviously would have to move around, not just for the fact that the herbivores need to find a food to keep them supplied, and the carnivores have to keep moving around to find said herbivores. It
Eh,
it
well,
makes
some of
so
the
much sense. And plus,
maybe some of the larger ones might, especially like carnosaurs. They apparently like carnosaurs like Allosaurus, like they followed herds a lot. But if we're talking about like T-Rex, they probably established a territory.
well, yeah, but they still have to move around said territory.
Yeah, of
And
course.
obviously, since some of them would have moved all over the place, laying their eggs, and then they went one way, and then some eggs went the other. Obviously, the bones would be spread out. And since
Exactly.
we have proof that the continents were moving, and we have the theory of Pangea, it would come to reason that at some point, one half of like an egg clutch went one way, and the other half went the other. And when they died and the bones are split up, when the land split up, there you go.
Yeah, pretty much. And especially when like especially the whole back to the whole dinosaur lizard thing, I'm like, here's the thing. If they are lizards, then why don't lizards take care of their young?
That's actually a very good question.
Because birds take care of their young, crocodiles take care of their young, lizards don't.
I thought a crocodile
Actually,
was a lizard.
no, they're not.
Really?
Nope.
Huh.
They belong to they're much older than lizards. Dating back to I think the mid-Triassic, lizards didn't appear until the Jurassic.
Hey, learn something new every day.
Exactly. Crocodiles take care of their young, birds take care of the young. Lizards don't take care of their young because dinosaurs took care of the only dinosaurs that didn't take care of their young were sauropods. That's because they were physically and mentally incapable of doing so.
They did have brains the size of walnuts. The Stegosaurus.
Yeah,
The size of
they
a
were
bus,
little.
brain the size of a walnut.
Yeah, like they were the stereotypical stupid dinosaur. They literally only knew how to eat, shit, and fuck.
And occasionally defend themselves.
Oh yeah, obviously defend themselves.
But
Some
then
of them were.
again, even if someone is completely brain dead, if something is hurting them, they're going to fight back.
Yes, and sometimes sauropods got so big that nothing would ever attack them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And it's just like really. So we know ceratopsians, we know hadrosaur, like all dinosaurs except sauropods at least took care of their young. Theropods definitely took care of the young. We have oviraptors dying protecting their nests. Do
What
lizards
exactly
do that?
is the difference between a sauropod and a theropod? I'm not exactly familiar with all the terms.
Sauropods are the long neck ones. Theropods are the carnivorous ones.
Ah,
Well, most of them are carnivorous, except for one group that became herbivores. And then you have well, it's you just kind of need it's just the difference.
by the way, you ever see The Land Before Time? I remember that when I was a kid. I think
That was dark, but it was also awesome.
Oh yeah, the first movie, a great Don Bluth classic. Then it became a musical afterwards.
Oh joy, fucking musicals.
I say that the second up to the fifth one was probably those are the only good ones. After that, it just gets way, way, way off track.
I know.
At least, with like the second one, it shows that, not all carnivore, taking care of a baby, and it shows different, enemy dinosaurs. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Third one, fourth one, fifth one, and alright. Especially with the
Sixth
fifth
one,
one,
it's
it
like
shows a prehistoric shark. That was actually kind of cool.
there have been so many different prehistoric sharks, but sharks didn't become the top predators. Oh shit, let's see now. They weren't the top predators when they first appeared. They weren't the top predators during the Mesozoic. Those were marine reptiles. And I think they didn't become top predator until after a bunch of the different carnivorous whales died out.
Makes sense. They're a living fossil, but the reason why we call them that is because they didn't change that much. That's a term for a living fossil, for a species of animal that hasn't changed much over thousands and thousands of years. It makes sense. Sharks don't need to change.
Exactly.
They're
If
top
you
of the
don't
food chain down there, so that's why they don't need to evolve.
Exactly, and some do. Skates and rays and sharks. They're kind of sort of the same thing, sort of.
We find some connections.
Yeah,
Fins.
I don't. I'm not the expert on this prehistoric fish.
Fair enough, fair enough. You're not calling yourself an expert, but through a lot of scientific study, we found that some species of
Exactly.
these marine animals have some connections.
Exactly, and
Maybe not,
especially,
direct connections, but still some.
but the but here's the most inane creationist argument I've ever heard is that because in the non-existent Garden of Eden there was more oxygen, allowing animals to grow bigger,
And then
which
when there was less oxygen, they had to keep breathing more, and then their nostrils got set on fire.
that's honestly that's stupid even for even
I'm
other creation.
sorry. I'm sorry, but you know,
I know, but it's
I
like
was just what? That doesn't even make any sense. So there's less air in the oxygen, so you have to breathe more, and then you breathe so much, your nostrils spontaneously combust.
and I'm like, okay, then why is the blue whale the largest animal that has ever lived, surviving on the measly oxygen we have today?
Exactly. Or
And the
elephants.
hummingbird,
Or elephants and stuff.
oh yeah, and especially I like, yeah, and one example I love, like one person gave me the example of the elephant bird. I'm like, the elephant bird went extinct in the 1700s, like not even 400 years ago.
Honest.
Why would you're an idiot? Know what you're talking about.
Yes. Logic. It's not just for smart people anymore.
Ugh.
Although it probably will be because, ugh. Honestly. Why do they keep doing this?
I don't know.
I understand
I
maybe if a few people get some facts wrong or they passionately believe in what they legitimately passionately believe in it, what they are taught, I'm okay with that. But when they start spouting lies and bullshit arguments and keep defending them, that's when we have problems. Because you and I, we're men of science and
exa-
logic.
exactly.
We're willing to believe a lot of fantasies. Like, you like Godzilla, but you, despite the fact you've seen Godzilla, you're not so blind to the fact that Godzilla's on TV, therefore he's real. Better not go
Well,
to Japan next year.
exactly. If you watch Aaron Roth, The Foundational Falsehoods of Creationism, he actually makes that same statement. You know, it's like if
Who
like he
said it?
could, because it's technically possible
No. Who was the one who
for
said this?
Aaron Ra.
Who was he?
Just type in Aaron Ra and and watch some of his videos. He gives pretty good lectures. He's incredibly intelligent.
Yeah, like Thunderfoot?
Yeah, he's like Thunderfoot, except like he's a cladistics nerd, so he like
Ah,
knows.
he's more of a nerd than Thunderfoot. Okay.
He's a very intelligent man. He knows a lot about history and mythology and
Yeah, I
phylogeny.
like people like you, Thunderfoot, and guys like him because you guys try to make learning interesting. Because every time I watch your video on why the creationists are wrong about dinosaurs, I learn something new about dinosaurs.
I honest not and especially have you and especially like the living dinosaur, like he's a YouTuber. His Holy Hallucination series are incredible, are hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Because basically I agree with him is like like if you believe that God just poofed all things into existence like that, you're devaluing your God's creativity. You're making him nothing more than someone who performs simple parlor tricks.
Exactly. I like to. If there is a God and he created evolution, I like to think of like a little kid pouring a bag of sea monkeys and watching him grow.
Exactly.
We're the sea monkeys. We just grew. My theory is actually that if God exists, he's a teenager. Because think about it. He was a he's a baby, so he created the dinosaurs to entertain him, like little stuffed animals and play around. When he got older, he got bored, so he wiped them all out and started new and started a little experiment to see, okay, why don't we make this grow a bit? Now he's a teenager, and now he's just being a dick towards us by screwing everything up.
My question is like, was God high when he created Therapsids?
I have no idea. I'm pretty sure he was blind He's just
Because
looking
like
away, or he's getting a pizza from somebody, from like
I,
Buddha or something.
I don't
This
know,
is
but
when
it's
Honey
like
Boo Boo came around.
I I don't know, but it's like was he like high when he made these things? Because they like have characteristics of both mammals and reptiles.
I
Was he?
have no idea. I mean, he must have been screwing around. Like maybe he was having a bet with
One of the angels?
or maybe he was like, okay, I bet you I can make the most me damned stupid creative shit thing ever. What? We're gonna give it some poison claws, a duck bill. We can make it lay eggs, but it's warm blooded.
It's
He
like
it must have been a bet
I
with like one of
know.
the other deities or something, like Zeus or something.
Well, creationists always bring up the platypus. I'm like, where's the love for the echidna? It's a monotreme too.
I think the platypus is just more famous. I mean, the
Yeah.
echidna, most people really only know what an echidna is because of Sonic the Hedgehog. But even then, we still don't know what it is. After that,
It,
we just hear echidna. Oh, it's just a burrowing creature.
but they don't know it lays eggs.
Exactly. Or has a six-pronged penis.
I
That's... I'm not joking, people.
know,
Echidnas
I
have a
know,
six-headed dick.
I know.
That is made of wood.
I, that,
The porn star of the animal kingdom.
Well, the porn star of the animal kingdom is the blue whale. It ejaculates. It ejaculates. I think it's 500 gallons of sperm in one go.
Wait a minute. Would that explain why the oceans are salty?
Yes.
Oh God! Oh my Santa Christ! You can just imagine it's like there's some fish floating by. Hey, is it getting? Hey, it's just because it's saltier here. You know, it's like two whales helping. Oh come on, get a room! Come on, I'm trying to eat here. Uh, Sometimes fact is stranger than fiction.
Yeah, it is. Then of course there's irreducible complexity,
Ooh, sounds fancy.
which is of course like everything must be there. It won't work. I'm like, no, that's not true at all. If everything has to be there, then why is it that pufferfish are missing 3 factors of blood clotting from us and whales missing 1? Why is it that the so-called irreducibly complex bacterial flagellum, if you like take one part out, won't work? Well, the flagellum won't work, but we have sort of the same sort of basic setup for viruses like the bubonic plague that inject our bodies with with toxins.
Here's something then for you. Okay, God created us, right? And He's
Yeah.
made us. He pretty much tried to make us better than animals. Why is it that some animals are better than us at, say, climbing trees, swimming, breathing, smelling, seeing? Don't you think
Why is
about
it
it?
that
Humans are the only thing that we have going for us is our intelligent and opposable thumbs. Everybody else got, something better.
I mean, like my house, my cat has better sense of balance, has better hearing, better vision, better sense of smell, is more agile and faster than I am.
Exactly. A cat could beat us, but we beat other animals because of our intelligence. So if there was a god, why would he just do that? At
Or
least,
better yet, an intelligent designer would make animals generalized, not but animals would make animals have the ability to survive in almost any environment.
and
So why
make
is it that
that or
he
that
made
or
Spinus? So sorry.
sorry, sorry, you go first.
He made Spinosaurus, right?
Yeah,
So why would you make it so specialized to the point where the slightest change in the environment would back it into a corner and would
it would starve
drive
to
it
death
to
because of lack of fish.
exactly. It would have to compete. And it would have to compete on land with Carcharodontosaurus and have to hunt and it just doesn't it doesn't make sense why God would make something so specialized
And
that
I mean, even humans aren't that. I mean, we're pretty generalized, but we would need. We're pretty much. We can only live in a warm environment if we were naked.
yeah.
We're not generalized for like extremely hot or extremely cold. We have to be intemperate, and even then, if we're too cold, we're going to die.
I mean, unless we're like the Inuits or something.
And even that only comes from eating a lot of blubber in their diet and the whole evolutionary breeding in generations.
Exactly.
I mean, according to MatPat, there are people in the Himalaya, way up in higher mountain regions, that have better lung capacity because they're
That's a
eating
positive mutation too. Creationists say that they're all mutations are negative when most of them are neutral.
yeah, mutation is just a term for a change in bodily and genetic structure. Does not
Yeah,
mean you're growing a third arm. That
exactly.
is a mutation, but that's not the kind of mutation we're talking about.
Exactly. Eye color, hair color, height, size. Those are mutations.
Hell, my autism and depression is technically a mutation in
I
mind, in brain.
Yeah, and you go through I think it's 128 mutations per human zygote.
Wow,
So and then 30 more mutations throughout your entire lives.
makes sense.
Yeah. And then of course there's like evolution can't happen unless, new information is added. It's like, okay, A, that's been done, and B, wrong.
Yeah,
Because there are I think it's over 500 primate deletions from the human genome.
hmm
And then you've heard of nihilase, haven't you?
Heard of what?
Nihilase.
Nihilase. I feel as though I heard it before.
Nylon eating bacteria.
Oh, no, I haven't. Wait,
It's like, nylon's been around since 1934, and if we have nylon eating bacteria, new information must have been added. Which, guess what? It was. It was confirmed. It was confirmed. It was confirmed genetically.
yeah.
There was, if I remember correctly, there was a frame shift during gene duplication and deleted information, and then everything after after the first deletion point, that was new information being added. It's sort of like a dumbed down version, but I suck at genetics.
Yeah, I don't understand much about genetics. I only know the basics,
And then
concepts. I don't know how everything works.
and then there's the oh so clever argument of it's still a bacteria. No fucking shit. People,
Bacteria are not always bad. In fact, we have
and,
bacteria in us that are helping us.
well, the whole thing is like it's still a dog or still a fish, and I'm like, no shit. It's since it descends from a fish, it will always be a fish. Here's an example. Since dogs descend from wolves, they are wolves because they are subspecies, and even if they become a new species, they'll still be
They're
wolves.
still in the same family. Or like a liger. You're a liger and a tiger. I mean, there's still a liger is still a tiger and a lion and still a feline.
It's
It
still a panther as well.
it will never change. It is
It will,
physically impossible to change one
to
to
cross
change like a
tax.
fish into a bird.
Yeah, that's what creationists think will prove evolution. No, that's a created creature.
Exactly. Like honestly. See,
I just
and even and before anyone says, but what about flying fish? That's not a fish and a bird. It's just a
exactly
fish
like
that can.
they don't even fly.
It's just more of a glide and jump out of the air.
yeah, they travel really fast. And then they just jump and they sort of their fins are specialized for them to glide as well.
And interesting enough, evolution still, even if sometimes evolution doesn't occur unless like I said before, evolution only works when a change of environment forces it, like if it's required. Like there's a species of hunting spider, that's pretty much a dinosaur in comparison to its modern counterparts. Weaker lung capacity, smaller fangs, and yet still kicking.
Exactly. Because
So if by the logic of creationists, every time evolution happens, all species below it must die, must disappear. Well, this is
no,
proof that evolution doesn't work that way.
it's a tree,
Sometimes
not a ladder.
occasionally, yes, some species of animal below it will die off, but only because the environment could not sustain it. Like say
Exactly.
giraffes. Giraffes evolved from a creature below but before it when it needed food from higher to reach places. The ones who couldn't get the higher reaching leaves died off, and the ones who could kept breeding.
Actually, I don't. I think that might have been disproven.
Really?
It
Well, I'm just
might.
trying to give an example of how
I know.
evolution might work. Maybe
I
this
know.
perhaps a bad example.
Let's see now. Oh, the lizards of Podmerkuru. Basically, they took lizards they took a couple lizards from one island and transplanted them to another.
Okay.
Well, the ancestral group was mainly insectivorous, but there was a lack of insects of on Podmerkuru. So after I think it was 20 or 30 years, they come back and their diet had changed. Their internal organs actually allowed them to digest plant material. While they still ate insects, most of their diet was replaced by plant material, and their heads were broader and their jaws were stronger.
Fascinating.
Yeah, that's observed speciation, which we've seen dozens of times.
Exactly. So what basically in terms creationists who say that evolution is a myth that's complete bullshit. They pretty much evolved from bullshit.
Yeah, yeah, and I just love trying to explain monophyletic variation to them.
Yeah.
It's so it's sometimes it's fun to watch them squirm when you're constantly poning them, but sometimes then of course they know they can't compete with you, so that's when they project their dishonesty on you and start resorting to quote mining and shit.
Who can forget about Ray Comfort and the banana?
Oh, it's like the banana that you eat today was made by humans.
What you guys may not know, Ray Comfort pretty much said that the banana is proof that God exists because
Well, to his credit, he did say he made a mistake on that.
true, but it's still kind of hilarious how the
Oh, have
banana
you seen?
is curved, easy to digest, easy to eat.
Why? Because it was made by us.
Exactly. It's still pretty funny, and he's not
Oh,
the worst guy out there.
He's one of the worst. But have you seen his newest piece of excrement called Evolution versus God?
Yes, I've seen. What's her name? She sort of works with the Amazing Atheist. Jacqueline, I think.
Yeah, her.
Yeah, I like her. Not only is she hot, but she's smart as she is hot.
Yes.
But that's a good combination.
Yeah, and I couldn't sit through 10 minutes of it. Like P.Z. Myers gave an example of evolution, and he's the sticklebacks. I'm like, yeah, good example. And they're like, but they're still fish, and I'm like, and I just, will someone explain to him that yes, they're still fish. They will always be fish, no matter how much they will change to be fish.
It will always be fish. A rock will still be a rock, even if the rock is a diamond. It's still a rock.
Rock's not a good example because they can't.
Sorry.
It's fine. I get what you're saying, but
bird will always be a bird. Bug will always be a bug. Human will always be an ape. Or at least a species of, chimpanzee, ape, monkey. I don't know what the correct classification is.
Ape.
All right.
Think of it. Humans are a species of hominids. Hominids are a species of hominoidea. Hominoidea are a group of apes. Apes are a subset of monkeys. Monkeys are a subset of primates.
Primate. That was the word.
Yeah.
That was the word I was thinking of. I hate it when you're you're about to say something and you know what you want to say, but you can't say it.
Exactly. And then this is my whole thing, and I try to explain to them. I'm like, okay, a mallard will be a duck. A duck will be a bird. A bird will be a manoreptorid, coelurosaurian, theropod, dinosaur, archosaur, reptile.
Exactly.
This is why it's birds aren't reptiles because they're warm-blooded. I'm like, so we're dinosaurs.
Exactly.
They will. They are reptiles, whether you want to admit it or not, because they descend from dinosaurs. Dinosaurs descend from archosaurs, and archosaurs descend from reptiles. And since everything has to abide by the law of monophyletic variation, that means that birds are dinosaur, archosaur, reptiles.
Exactly. They may be a special kind, like, you know,
Like
they don't
lifetime.
look like reptiles, but they're still related to them.
Because they are them. I mean, it's like even if you go back in time and look at some of the reptiles that were alive, some animals that looked like reptiles weren't reptiles. Like Dimetrodon and Apatosaurus, they looked like reptiles, but they weren't because they were predecessors to mammals.
Exactly. Glee.
Oh, who's that? My phone's ringing.
All right. Maybe we
All
should
right.
maybe we should just call it quits now.
Yeah, yeah, it's my dad. See ya.
Anyway, bye. That was Jacob Roach, and I'm Bren Tenkage. We'll see you
Bye.
later.